Hi, and thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to practice a flow that is really focusing on alignment and helping you to find alignment in your body. So the theme really today is you. So I'll invite you to come to Tadasana with me and start in mountain pose. Coming into your Tadasana, we're going to start in a variation that some might call Samastiti, hands at heart center. But there are many different variations of Tadasana. We always start from the feet, so taking a moment to feel into the feet. And press into the big toe ball mound, the pinky toe ball mound, and then the heel. And feel those 3 points light up. Maybe lift all 10 toes. If you lift all 10 toes, you might actually feel the arches of the feet lift. And that lift travels up the inner thighs. Go ahead and follow that lift. Engage the quads as you draw the navel in and engage Mula Bandha. Broaden the collarbones, draw the shoulders away from the ears, and allow the natural curvature of the spine to be accentuated as you lift your crown to the sky. Take a breath in, reach the arms up overhead, and exhale, hands to the center of the heart. And bringing the hands to the hips, we're going to go ahead and start today by stepping out to the left. So stepping out to the left, we're going to parallel the feet so that the feet are about 4 feet apart. If you're a little bit shorter, you can shorten your stance. If you're a little taller, you can lengthen your stance. So the traditional Hatha way would be 4 to 4.5 feet for a warrior 1 or a warrior 2. Warrior 1 and Warrior 2 are actually the same exact width from back foot to front foot. Now, we're going to start by turning the back foot towards the top of the mat. This externally rotates the back leg. Now, you might say, Michelle, what are you talking about? You're internally wrapping your hand towards your growing. Well, this is an illusion. If I was to bring the pelvis back to anatomical neutral, you would see this is an externally rotated leg because now my pelvis is not facing you. My pelvis is facing this side of the room. So when I let the pelvis face where it wants, it moves out of anatomical neutral, which is this. And it moves into anatomical neutral here, but the orientation of this hip bone moves, right? So letting that go, turn the right toes forward to the top of the mat and walk the foot over about 2 efforts, so maybe about 6 inches. This gives your pelvis room to move. Now, if you have a smaller pelvis, you maybe won't have to walk your foot over as much. If you have a wider pelvis, you might need to walk your foot over more. If you're expecting, you might need to walk your foot over. You might need to walk your foot over even more. Okay? But wherever you're at, we're looking for comfort and strength, right? It's a two-faceted practice here. Now I'm going to take the heart and I'm going to turn the heart forward towards the top of the mat. So the action is not coming from here. If you'll look, the action's really coming from the heart. The pelvis already does what it wants to do. It already wants to go this way, right? So can I let the heart bring me full forward? Now, bend the right knee. Warrior 1. We want to stack the right knee over the ankle. Now, if the stance is too long, walk the foot up an effort. That's okay. Shorten your stance. But if the stance shortens and your knee moves over your ankle, you need to move back. So finding that perfect space for you. Reach the arms up overhead. Take a breath in, draw the navel in, wrap the shoulder blades around the upper ribs, and take a moment. Notice how this feels different. Press into the outer edge of the back foot. Draw the navel towards the back of the body. Beautiful. And now we're going to release into Warrior Two, and all you're going to do is turn from the heart. Don't touch the hips at all. Turning from the heart. Warrior Two. So notice how this feels. Now you might need to adjust your shoulders, move back. We want shoulders over pelvis, but just noticing how this feels different. So one of the things, we'll go ahead and come out of that. We're going to talk a little bit about alignment, come back to that wide-legged stance. One of the things that's really important to understand is that you'll hear cues like parallel your foot to the back of the mat. But this is not found in any Indian tradition. So where did it come from? It came from some American studio owner or some corporate office. That's not the way we practice Indian yoga. It's fine if you want to practice a system that was created by a particular studio or a particular individual, that's fine. But it has no lineage. And so if we're looking to go back to what is true traditional yoga, we have to follow the tradition. And the tradition says that the pelvis moves in a certain way, the thoracic spine moves in a certain way. And all of the teachers that brought us yoga, B.K.S. Iyengar, Pattabhi Jois, Desikachar, and Krishnamacharya, all of these teachers give us this blueprint of how to find this posture in our body. And they give us the latitude to move so it's not so rigid. So the idea that the back foot's parallel to the back of the mat and that the heel is in line with the arch is just not true. It's a misunderstanding. And if we are attached to that, it can go even as far as being appropriative because it's not from the traditional lineage. It's actually something that we created and are now married to, but has no foundation in true yogic practices of asana. So let's take the other side and just notice and play with it. And again, you have the permission to play with it. So if the back foot's turned too far in, turn it a little bit more back towards the back of the mat. There's nothing to say you can't have the back foot parallel to the back of the mat. In fact, you have the freedom and flexibility to move your feet wherever you want. But we start with a blueprint and then we adjust to fit your body. Now remember too, if you've been practicing a certain way for a long period of time, your body might be used to that, and that's okay. It's totally fine. Just understanding that and understanding that your body might take some time. It might need to be an inquiry process for you, not just a quick running through poses, but really a feeling into how your body feels in these different postures. So let's do that again. Right toes are going to come to the back of the mat, about 45 degrees. The left toes are going to come to the top of the mat. And see, if I kept this configuration, I wouldn't have enough room for my pelvis. My pelvis is a little bit wider than this. So I'm going to move my foot over to the far edge of the mat, one effort. Now my pelvis is already shifted. It's going the way I want it to go because the back leg is externally rotated. So I'm going to let that pelvis do what it wants. And I'm going to take the heart and use the heart as a beacon to turn the rest of my body to the back of the mat. Inhale, bend the knee, reach the arms up. Warrior One. Draw the navel in, wrap the shoulders away from the ears, broadening the upper body, broadening the collarbones. And from here, we're going to open up into Warrior Two. Maybe shifting the shoulders back, stacking the knee. Take a breath in. Notice how it feels. Feel free to adjust the body. And then come back to center. Hands to the hips. And we'll just take a forward fold. Take a breath in. And exhale, fold. Bringing the peace fingers to the big toes, bend the elbows to the east and the west. Just take a moment in this gentle inversion to notice what's coming up for you. What is arising? Are you feeling attachment to a particular way of doing something? It's totally fine to do it the way that you enjoy doing it, but understanding that there's a foundational way that these practices were done. And can we learn that foundational way, be aware of it, and then understand how our bodies have adapted to the practices we've been introduced to? That's just awareness. Bring the hands to the hips. Take a breath in and a breath out. Inhale all the way up. So let's take that again. We're going to do that all over again. Turning the back toes to the front of the mat this time. Right toes forward. And just again finding that space for yourself. And then finding that rotation from the heart, bringing the heart forward. Bend the knee, warrior one. And then adjusting. You might step the back foot over to the left. You might move the back foot to the right. Just feeling what feels right. You can even come out of external rotation in the back leg a little bit. If you'd like to move the foot more towards the back of the mat, that's okay. Take a breath in. Open it up. Warrior two. Stacking shoulders over pelvis. Gazing over the middle, fingers together. And we're going to switch sides by bringing the hands to the hips, straighten the right leg. Heel toe the feet into position, left toes forward. Back heel kicks to the top of the mat this time, turning those toes towards the back corner. Now, again, my stance is a little bit too narrow, so I'm going to step this right foot over to the right a little bit, giving me more room. Turning from the heart towards the back of the mat. Inhale, bend the knee, warrior one. Draw the navel in. Press into the outer edge of my right foot. Take a breath in and a breath out. A breath in. Exhale, open it up. Warrior two. And just noticing how you feel and noticing how this might be different. Feel free to adjust the back leg. It's okay. And then when you're ready, we're going to straighten the left leg, parallel the feet, and this time interlace the fingers behind you. Draw the shoulder heads away from you. Keep the palms together as you fold forward. And notice what you feel. Inhale, lift you all the way up. And then turn the right toes to the top of the mat. Left foot meets the right. Samastitihi, hands at heart center. And we're coming to a seat, extending the legs out in front of us. So coming into a seat, we'll bring the hands next to us for seated staff pose, Dandasana, flexing the toes back towards the shins. Again, engaging all 10 toes, creating that lift in the arches. Draw the navel in, take a breath, and breath out. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold. And inhale, come all the way up. We're going to go ahead and bring the right foot to the outside of the left leg. You can swing the left heel to the right glute. Bring the right hand behind the right hip. Left arm raises and twist. We're going to hook the left arm to the outside of the right leg. And then take a breath in. Exhale, gaze over the right shoulder. Looking forward, we'll release, extending the legs long. Inhale, reach up, and exhale, fold. And inhale all the way up, bringing the left foot to the outside of the right leg. This time, swing the right heel to the left hip. Left hand grounds, reach the right arm up and twist. Right arm to the outside of the left leg. Take a breath in and breath out. Looking forward and release, extend the legs. Inhale. And exhale, fold. And inhale, coming all the way up and meeting in a comfortable seat. As a rule of thumb, it's important to remember that you, as a yoga teacher or a yoga student, are not wrong or bad or incorrect or doing it wrong or going to hurt anyone if your alignment is off. Lots of different schools have lots of different philosophies on alignment. From a yoga therapy perspective, alignment is load optimization, and there's not one alignment for any one body. The way we assess alignment is by looking at a blueprint. Well, I can't make up a blueprint because A, I'm not Indian, B, I'm not an ancient yogi, and C, I didn't create or invent yoga. So I go to the people who did. BKS Iyengar created an excellent index of asana postures with very detailed cues that tell us exactly how to position the body. Now, these are extremes. These are like the extremist extremes. And so we use it as a foundation, right? This is a blueprint. We're going to modify it a little bit based on the structure of the body, based on the load you're carrying, and based on how it feels in your body. And that is really a result of your own structural wear and tear over the years. So there are 3 factors that we have to factor in on top of the foundational pose. So once we take all of those things into consideration, you can see there are a myriad of different possibilities. But I can't arbitrarily tell you to place your back foot parallel to the back of the mat. That's not founded in any tradition in India. That's not founded in any Indian tradition that I know of. And I'm a yoga therapist with thousands of hours of training and teaching, and I've looked for it. I can't find it. So we go to the people we know were experts. Iyengar, Patabi Joyce, Desikachar, Krishnamacharya, the father of all of these individuals in terms of teaching. He taught all of them at some point in their lives and careers. So we go back to those primary sources, just like your 3rd grade teacher told you. Don't make it up in your head. Go back to the source and then look at what they told you. And then try it in your body and say, oh, that feels horrible. How can I modify this to make it feel better? Maybe I move my back foot over a little bit. Maybe I move my front foot forward or to the side or back a little bit. How can I adjust for my body? And that's really how we develop a relationship with our own unique expression of life living us. If we don't do that, we're just taking on somebody else's perception of what a pose is supposed to be. We're not even putting any of our own inquiry into it at all. We're not diving into how it it shows up in our own experience. So the next time you go into a yoga class and a teacher is adamantly attached to the way that they are teaching Warrior 1 or Warrior 2, I invite you to explore, to go on an inquiry quest to see if the cues, if the alignment, if the positioning of the body that they're telling you to attain is even right for you. And if it's not, empower yourself to make a change. Even in this demonstration today and practice, just because I told you to turn your foot to the top of the mat, if it didn't feel good, I hope to goodness that you turned it back, that you did what felt good. About 20% of the time when I work with students, they feel better with their foot in a neutral position at the back of the mat. And that is fine. It makes sense. Everybody's femur heads are different. Nobody's femur, nobody's acetabulum is going to be the same. And for those of you who are maybe students and not teachers, that is the head of the thigh bone, the femur head, and the inside of the hip socket is the acetabulum. So not everybody's ball and socket joint looks the same. So of course, some people are going to do better with external rotation and some people are going to be better with a neutral position. It's just how it goes. You need to take a moment to explore. It's part of the practice of life. Don't take my word for it. Go out, look at the primary sources, do the research, but not the research on Yoga Journal or on some blog post or on somebody's opinion from their teaching experience. Go to the river. Go to the source. When you go to the source, that's when you fill your cup. That's when you'll feel your cup is full because you'll know that the information that you have is as close to true for what you're dealing with as it can be. Remember, really the only thing that's actually true, at least from my perspective, is that we're divine beings in a human experience. Everything else is subjective truth, even my perspective on alignment. Other teachers have different perspectives, and I acknowledge and honor their perspective. And when I'm in their classes, I practice accordingly while listening to my body and adjusting to make sure I am safe in my body and my body feels good. And I hope and empower you to do the same.